Let me know if you're in the boat market right now and you're planning to buy a used boat. You're probably terrified. Buying a used boat can be terrifying because there's so many things that you got to consider. Stuff like this, you got to figure out if you're going to get a fiberglass or an aluminum boat. You got to figure out if you want to get a project boat. If you're a handy person, you can take a project boat and save a lot of money. You also got to figure out if you want to get a 2-stroke or a 4-stroke engine. You got to figure out what size boat is the best. You got to figure out what size engine is the best. It's just a lot of stuff that you got to think about. I know exactly what you're thinking about. I just bought this boat recently. It's used. This is my 22-year-old 22-foot Pathfinder. It's an '02 model. It might even be an '01. I'm not exactly sure. '02, '01. Anyway, it's over 20 years old. And I saved a lot of money by just going to buy a used boat. But there's a lot of stuff you got to think about and be careful about. You ever think about your tow vehicle? You got the right truck to be able to pull whatever your dream boat is, because you can get the dream boat, but if you don't have the right truck to pull it, it's going to be a nightmare. Your dream will very soon turn into a nightmare with the wrong tow vehicle. I didn't have to do a lot of upgrades on this boat. When I got it, I always pay attention to the condition that the boat is sitting in. What it looks like is telling you a story about how well it's kept and how it's going to treat you in the future. I didn't have to do a lot. The only thing I had to do to this boat, and I need to do it again, is buff out the sides. It has been left outside, which a lot of times bigger boats like this, and in particular saltwater boats, they're usually left outside. So I had to refurbish the fiberglass. I did that. Biggest thing with this boat is it did come with a 2-stroke, and it came with a manufactured 2-stroke that's not even in business anymore. That was the only thing that held me up from buying this boat lickety split. So the biggest investment that I had when I decided to buy this 20-plus-year-old boat was repowering it. Something I think everybody ought to consider. If you want to buy a boat, not really ready to make that huge financial commitment, repowering a boat that you like, that fits the size that you want, that's way cheaper, it worked out for me. So last month on my online fishing course, it's called Straight Up Fishing, I did a boat buying, boat towing, boat choosing live seminar where we just talked about what's the right tow vehicle. Should you get aluminum? Should you get glass? What do you need to look for when you're buying a used boat? What to avoid? What to look for? All in one package. And I'm going to show you some clips, some of the highlights, the most important nuggets from that live class in this video right here. So you want to watch this to the end, because I'm probably going to answer all the questions that you have. Matter of fact, I know I'm going to answer all the questions you have about buying the right boat for you, used or new. Tow vehicles, horsepower, size, aluminum, fiberglass. All the questions that you would have about buying a boat is going to be addressed in this video that you're about to watch now. I'd encourage you to join my Straight Up Fishing online fishing school, because we don't only teach you how to catch fish. Part of catching fish, no matter where you live, is having the right boat to get there. And I'm going to try to help you pick the right boat, because if you got the right boat, you get better results. If you get better results, you're just having more fun. SUFschool.com. Go set up a free account and you can watch all of our live classes. Watch these clips. I promise you it's going to give you some clarity on the right boat for you.
All right. If you buy a used boat, what are things to look for so you don't get burned?
All right. So I think I might have covered a little bit. So things that I like to look for on used boats. I will refuse to buy a project. I do not. Believe it or not, carpet is expensive and a lot of work to repair. Look at that carpet. If it needs new carpet, I'm not saying don't buy it, but you better drill down on the price. Let me say that again. You better negotiate the price. Sorry about that. You need to negotiate the price if you need carpet. Seats. Carpet is expensive and time consuming. That is a time consuming job. Is replacing carpet. Seats. I like all those little elements are telling you something about how well the boat was taken care of. Like if you got like a little small busted seam because it's a 25-year-old boat, all right, the seats are only gonna last so long. If it's a 2015, that's still an old boat, that's still 10 years almost. If it's a 2019 boat and it needs carpet, Barry, what you been doing? You know, this boat been outside a lot. So watch for those cosmetic deals. The cosmetics are telling you something. And I'm telling you, you don't want to adopt a project. As far as the engine goes, the biggest thing is you going to be your engine. Get your compression check if you can. That's got to take it to a dealer. If you got a modern engine, a lot of times they can hook up the computer to it, check the true hours, check true hours on the boat, and do a compression check. One thing I always tell people, check that gear case grease, make sure there's no water, taking no water on that. Look at the prop. You see a lot of damage on the prop. Check the skegs. You see a lot of damage on the skeg. That's just telling you a story. Telling you a story. Always water test your boat. Those are probably, let your intuition kick in. There's not a lot. Also, stress cracks near the transom, especially on older boats. Do some internet research. Just type in, if you're going to buy a 1992 ProCraft 1780V, do some research. There's going to be some history out there. That was a boat that had bad transoms. So you want to know that. I know even newer ProCrafts, they were bad about having bad transoms. So you can find that stuff on the internet. Just kind of type in the name of that boat and problems. Use nitro problems. You'll find out there's a lot of delamination and stuff like that. All that stuff's going to be documented, because when a guy spends $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in a bass boat and he has problems, first place he goes is the internet to tell everybody about it. So it'll be documented if it's there. Tow vehicles. The big one. I saved that one for this. Before you go and buy your first boat, your next boat, please consider your tow vehicle. Buy your boat according to your tow vehicle. You do not want to buy a Toyota Tacoma with a 4-cylinder and then go get a 21-foot boat with a 250. You're going to put so much strain on the drivetrain, the engine, that you're going to end up having to buy another truck on top of your boat payment. Get you a truck first, or buy a boat that matches your tow vehicle. That is a big, big deal. You have to have a truck that will pull the boat to the lake. If you can't pull it to the lake, you don't have anything. You still don't have anything. Now you just got I don't know what boat payments are now, $1,000 boat payment, and you can't even go fishing because your truck is tore up, or it won't carry it to the lake, or you're extremely putting an extreme strain on that truck. So make sure you got the truck. For a boat, a 20-foot glass boat, 18-foot glass boat, 18-foot, I pulled my 18-footer with my Tacoma. You could do that. I had a Toyota Tacoma. You can pull that with that. If you're getting 20-foot and bigger, I would highly advise a full-size truck. It's not always about pulling. It's about stopping. Because I know some people are going to say, well, I got a mid-size truck with a V6. And it's got the turbo, it's got this, it's got that. That's not the point that you can pull it all the time. You also have to be able to stop it. Of course, modern boats do have a brakes on the trailer, but trust me, when it's slick and wet outside, hey, what they say in the racing world, there's no replacement for displacement. So you need a truck. If you ain't got the right truck to pull it with, it's going to be bad. Okay, so let's talk about the pros. We'll start with the aluminum boat. That was my first boat. I had a 12-foot aluminum boat, was my first boat. An aluminum boat, you can feel safe, leaving it outside. It's more durable, so it can take the elements a little bit better than a glass boat. So having a shed, it's great if you do put your aluminum boat under a shed. Any kind of boat, if you got storage for it, is better. But if you buy a cheaper boat, an aluminum boat, you can put it under your storage. You can leave it outside. You can buy a tarp, $50 tarp at the hardware store, cover it up, and that boat's probably still going to last you a very long time. Let's jump into horsepower. The good thing about buying an aluminum boat as your first boat is aluminum boats tend to have smaller horsepower options. Most of your fiberglass boats, there's very few fiberglass boats nowadays under 17 or 18 feet. So they're probably going to be 150 and bigger. for the most part. There might be a glass boat out there that's, rated for 115 and 16, 15 foot. But for the most part, nowadays, they're 18 foot and bigger, 150 horsepower. So it's going to cost more. With an aluminum boat, you can still buy boats rated for 40 horse, 15 horse, 9 horse, 60 horse. So that brings your cost down, which we're going to get to another point of that, why that may be good or not good for you. But that makes it easier for you to get into the boating market with a smaller horsepower rating and a smaller machine. So, and I recommend that first. If you've never owned a boat, I am begging you, if you've never owned a boat, please do not go and buy the biggest fiberglass boat that they make. Please, I am begging you. It's dangerous if you never owned a boat. It is a very good idea to start small. Start with a young boat. Start with a 40 horse on a tracker, a low, anything, something smaller. Start with a smaller boat. I definitely recommend that. They're also, which is my favorite, this is why I always and forever will own an aluminum boat. Probably after the tournament season is over, about 80% of my fishing is off-road fishing. I got rivers around here. I've got buddies that live close to rivers. I like to take my boats in places that you probably aren't supposed to take trailer boats, where most people are taking kayaks. I'll figure out how to put a boat in. That's my favorite thing to do. I've been doing that since I was a teenager, is trying to put a boat in somewhere that you're not supposed to put a boat in. Aluminum boats are more durable. They're not quite as fragile. You can scratch it. You can beat it up. You can park it on the bank. You can dump it. You can push it off the trailer. It is the perfect machine to buy your teenager because they're going to be too rough on the boat. That's why I always will have an aluminum boat until I die. Let's talk about some cons. Some of the cons for aluminum boats. They're slow. Fast. I know there's some aluminum boats on the market now that are pretty fast. I know some of the higher end bass boat, 10 boats are pretty fast. I'm talking about your general, go to the boat dealership, your 29, 99, 9, whatever it is, your boat, your $30,000 aluminum boat, your $15,000 aluminum boat. That's the boat I'm talking about, a flat bottom boat. They're really slow. They're not quite as stable as a bass boat or any kind of fiberglass boat. They're not going to be as stable. What I mean by that, aluminum boats tend to draft at very shallow draft, very small footprint in the water. A very small portion of that boat is in the water. They blow around quite a bit in the wind, so it makes it a little bit more aggravating to fish. Other thing is, they don't ride that well. If it's even a small chop, you're going to feel it. It's going to shake out every bolt, and everything in that boat is going to rattle out. Trolling motor is going to be, you're going to ride down the boat, and the trolling motor is just going to be just with a ripple on the water. God forbid it's rough. So that's one downside. Stability, speed, in my opinion, looks. Most of your aluminum boats are going to be square edged boats. So the looks are not going to be quite as good as a fiberglass boat. Yeah, we've come a long way in the 10 boat market though. Like that Stinger that I have is a pretty good looking boat. It's got some pretty nice finishes on it. I almost wish it was finished a little less for the things that I like to do with it. So that's also a con. In my opinion, somebody that you can let me know in the comment section if you have a better opinion or better experience with it. I think aluminum boats are a little hard to fix. If you have an accident, scratch it. My fiberglass, if I scratch that, I can find fiberglass shop anywhere. Get the gel coat, fix it pretty easily. Pretty hard to match up paint on an aluminum boat if you scratch it. I use those boats to do off-road rough stuff, but I still hate when they get scratched. And when my boat gets scratched, it's pretty hard to fix it. I can fix scratches on my glass boat fairly easily. Sandpaper, some really just sandpaper and water and some wax, and you'd be surprised what you can do with a aluminum boat. Sometimes just a Scotch pad, not even sandpaper. You can actually fix those boats pretty quickly. With aluminum, there's a lot more layers to fix it. You won't be able to just go to Lowe's and pick up a spray can and fix that boat. If you scratch it, you probably need an auto body shop. Likewise, if you did it, how do you fix a dent in an aluminum boat? If I chip out that glass boat, pretty easy to fix. Put a dent in an aluminum boat, you're gonna have to get a machinist to fix it. If you do something where any kind of material fault in an aluminum boat, it's pretty hard to fix. Okay, so that's been my experience. Somebody in the comment section, somebody watching, somebody listening, you might have a different experience. That's been my experience. Okay, let's talk about fiberglass boats. All right, this is where it's gonna get deep. Fiberglass boats, I love them. Main reason because I love speed. I'm a motorsports guy. I love loud things. I like things that go fast. I like to tweak things. If you're a horsepower gearhead, get you a glass boat. Get you a fast one. Get you a fast one because they're fun. Bass boats are fun. Takes a little skill to drive. I just like glass boats. That's me. I like to go adventuring and I like to go fast. That's why I have two boats. So wide range of things. I'm gonna try to narrow it down. Fiberglass boats, they're gonna be fast. I already talked about that. If you like to go fast, that's the boat for you. Stability, the number one thing for me. Glass boats are more stable. It's a bigger boat. Oftentimes, they're heavier. Don't get me wrong. A lot of these aluminum boats, like I have an 18-foot aluminum boat, it weighs almost as much as that glass boat. That's a misconception. Oftentimes you hear people say, oh, aluminum boats are light. Well, the small ones are, but if you get one comparable size, it might even be heavier than the glass boat. The glass boat's typically more stable. It drafts more water. Constructed, the hull design, it's bigger, it's heftier, bigger footprint. It drafts more water. The more of the glass is in the water, so it doesn't blow around as much in the wind, which in turn makes it a better fishing machine. I love my aluminum boats, but they do skate around a lot. You got to work the trolling motor a lot. The glass boat, it can be windy and it just barely moves around. When I'm fishing docks, the best thing about a glass boat is almost like it's got brakes. When I come off the power, it's like it stops. When I get off the trolling motor power, it wants to stop. When I'm on the power, it only goes the way I point it. A glass boat, it's almost like it skates around. An aluminum boat will skate around, and you kind of got to know how to drive it. It's almost like floating on ice. Wide range of horsepower options. You can be from 150 horsepower. Typically, most glass boats are 150 to 400. Fast as you want to go, to unlimited, basically, on glass boats. The looks, what can I say? Self-explanatory. Glass boats look good. They're sparkly. They don't have to be sparkly. You can get gel coat finish if you want to. There's a lot of accessories on them. It used to be that fiberglass held its value better. I would argue now that aluminum holds its value better than glass for the most part. Our older aluminum boats, especially if they're all welded, are holding a lot of money. Let's see. Cons. Let's go on the bad side of fiberglass boat. I had to really dig for this. Mainly is the cost. Fiberglass is going to cost you a little bit more. Secondly, storage. It hurts my heart and my feelings to see and hear people leave a fiberglass boat outside. Oh, save me, Jesus. I feel like, how people feel about dogs tied up to a tree? I'm from Belton, South Carolina, so I see it all the time. I feel that way when I see a boat sitting in somebody's driveway uncovered. It hurts my heart. Of course, you might leave it a day or two, but I'm talking about store your boat outside uncovered. It hurts my heart. I just want to go and just cover it for them, like take a blanket or something. If you have a glass boat, if you're looking to buy a glass boat, you don't have to have an air-conditioned enclosed shop. In my first house, I found out I had a boat before I bought a house. All right, whatever. Y'all do whatever you think about that. But I had a boat before I owned my own house. I found a house for my boat. I would not buy a house unless I had a place to keep my boat. My first house was 850 square foot. It had an open carport. I backed my boat under that open carport. At least go buy, I'm sure they're more expensive now. I graduated up from that open carport to a aluminum awning. Y'all remember those $5.95 or the 20 by 20 aluminum awnings? I bought me a 20 by 20 aluminum awning and I put it in that later on. Just get something to keep the sun, wind, rain, leaves, moisture off of your fiberglass boat. You are literally wasting money. They are more fragile specimens. You cannot just, can you just leave it out? Yeah, you can, but you're just throwing money away. You're just devaluing the product. It's insult to the boat. I don't know what to think about people leaving their boats outside, fiberglass boats outside.
All right. How important is the width of the boat?
So how important is the width of your boat? That's subjective. How important it is to the person that that's going to be buying the boat. For me, it's pretty important. The wider the boat, that means you have more deck. If you got more deck, that means you got more storage. If I got more storage, that means I can put more stuff in my boat. If I can put more stuff in my boat, that means I can save time doing tackle. In my boat, I literally packed it today. It'll be 4 tournaments before I have to come to this shop to figure out how to put something else in there. And put enough stuff in there. It's the widest bass boat that exists as far as I'm concerned. A lot of times people bring up other boat companies and stuff. I just sat in these boats. That Falcon, and this, I'm not even trying to advertise right now. They don't even know. Look, this is a private group. Nobody knows I'm saying the things I'm saying but us in this group, right? It's literally like us having a one-on-one conversation. I don't have to push no product right now. That's the widest boat on the water. You say, oh, V20 is it? No, it ain't. You say, oh, yeah, well, my ring. No, your Ranger's not wider. It's not. It's very wide. The pros to wide boats, obviously, like I said, the storage. Negatives to wide boats. It could be the storage, like your garage. I really can't think of anything negative on a wide boat. I really can't. But it's important. Even on aluminum boats, heck, my aluminum boat now is about as wide as my my bass boat. It's getting crazy out here. How they're building aluminum boats now. They're carrying the width to the front just as bigger than bass boats are. So, it's important. If it's important to you, I think it's important because, that's where you stand. That's where you fish. That's what you bought the boat for. Why skip on that part? I think it's very important.
All right. Use 2-stroke engine versus 4-stroke.
Oh, man, that's a good one. Very good question. Use 2-stroke versus 4-stroke. Okay, so 4 strokes are somewhat less maintenance, but at the same time, a little more responsibility. 4-stroke engine, the fact that you don't have to really check under the hood that often, it can be easy to neglect. And when you have problems with a 4-stroke, pretty much done. When you get valves and timing chains and stuff gets out of whack, it's probably just a kiss or goodbye. See you later. You ain't replating the sleeve and that one and getting the piston and kind of keep on going. You're not replacing an injector and adding some rings and getting out of here. If a 4-stroke ever decides to take a dump, it's done. There's not much fixing on them. You don't get to really fix them, but they do last longer. I mean, they're pretty doggone proven at this point. We made the hard switch. Yamaha's been running their 4-strokes for, I remember the first one in 2010. So they're almost 15 years into, high volume production 4-stroke models. Of course, we have 4-stroke models, but big bore 4-strokes really just popular across the board. My first Mercury 4-stroke in 2019. I think the first Mercury 4-stroke big bore 2018, 2017, 2018. So, it's catastrophic when it does go. But like I mentioned, I haven't heard many guys blowing them. I really haven't. I'm like 3 since we started the Mercury Pro XS. I had a Yamaha show in 10, blew it up in 9 months. They've come a long way since then. You just change the oil. They don't even have an air filter. As far as I know, maybe some other just change the oil every 100 hours. Change your gear case. It's really all you can do. As far as I know, that's all you can do. 2 strokes, man, the last ones were pretty freaking good. 2005 to 12, 15, they were really good engines. They can be more finicky to altitude, weather, cold, hot, all those things. They can be a lot more finicky. They're also easy to replace, especially if you have one of those old 2.5 liter two strokes, Mercury two strokes. You can replace that engine. I don't know if you still can. It used to be like $3,000, $3,000 to $5,000. You're back on the water and moving again. I don't know if it's still that cheap. Those are some of the best. I love those engines. I had probably 3 or 4 of them. 2 5 liters, 2 4 liters. EFI or carbureted Mercury's. That was here. You know, you got the oil reservoir in the back of the boat, or you're mixing the premix with the 2 strokes. So, you know, you got that maintenance factor there. But for as the engine itself, same thing. Really not a lot you can do maintenance-wise to the engine. The only thing I like to do is not, if you can avoid it, high RPM for long periods of time, I think it's hard on engines. Change your gear case oil. Don't do nothing stupid. Don't overheat it. Don't run through the grass. If you hear that siren go off, cool, let it cool. That's about the only thing you can do. If your boat sets a lot, I would recommend putting some type of fuel additive in, especially for you guys up north that sets 3-4 hours, 3-4 months out of the year. Buy you some type of fuel additive so the fuel doesn't gel up on you. And when it sets, before it sets, fill the gas tank. Don't run it out. When you leave your fuel tank open, that leaves more room for moisture and air. Fill your tank up to the top. Less room for moisture and air to get in your tank. If you got air in your tank, that's where moisture comes from. So don't fill it up. We can always pump out the bad gas if you need to, but if you get moisture in there, it's a lot more difficult. So fill your tank up before you winterize your boat. It's asinine to me. I think you deserve better than that, King. Get out of that cold weather and live somewhere where you don't winterize your boat would be my first thing I would tell you. But if you do, fill it up with fuel.
Just general thoughts on like lithium batteries and utilizing lithium batteries.
Yeah, let's talk lithium.
And that how that relates to electronics and cranking and all that kind of stuff.
So I have run on this boat behind me. I actually don't have lithiums in it this year. I like lithiums. I've run lithiums for 4 years now. Great batteries. I wonder from a weekend perspective, I do sometimes question if it's worth the investment. It may even be a better investment for weekend guys. I'm going to tell you why. When those gel cell, AGMs, or whatever you want, liquid cell, if they set for a while, they're no good. You can count on it. But if you're using them, they're better off. So with lithium, you don't have that problem. If your boat sets for a while, 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, 2 months, 3 months, lithium, charge it right back up. All right. Some other stuff. There's a learning curve with using and charging lithium batteries. Number one thing that I noticed about lithium batteries, the output stays the same until they decide to quit. My batteries, MillerTech is what I would suggest you guys use. MillerTech lithiums, they're smart batteries. If the battery feels itself getting hot, cuts off. If the voltage is getting low, cuts off. If the voltage is too high, it cuts off. Like it knows what to do. It regulates itself. It knows what to do. So, with that being said, you're going down the bank, whoop, 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 making a cast. Your batteries are dead. Here, you had no clue. Getting used to. With lead acid, AGMs, whatever we call wet cell batteries, you will get a warning, right? You start feeling the batteries kind of like getting a little slower, and you kind of would know how to kind of start conserving your batteries for the day on the trolling motor. You don't get that option with lithium. It's, I'm working, I'm dead. Like, no warning at all. So that's good. You got Bluetooth batteries, these lithiums. You can look at the charge on your phone right now. You can use it with the MillerTech. You can use the same charger that I use for my wet cell batteries as I can with my lithium. I don't have to buy a new charger. You can just change the setting, the AGM, and it was fine. I would highly recommend it. Only reason I got the lead acids in this boat or AGMs or whatever they are, Duracells, it's because I didn't get the MillerTechs in time. That's all. I like both. I like some of the things about the wet cell batteries better. The fact that I kind of know where I'm at on it. I love lithiums because I keep them on my bay boat. Now that bay boat that I do have, it does set for 8 months. I will not use that bay boat again until I'll use it in the summer. 4th of July, I'll probably pull it out. We'll do our 4th of July thing. And then it'll set again until about September. And I start saltwater fishing from September to now. And I use it all the time. So it sets a little bit. Put lithiums in it. You don't have to worry about it. Plug them up, whoop, 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 take off. So I think I covered that pros and cons on batteries. Um, some companies, some engine manufacturers require you to not run lithiums on cranking. I don't like lithiums on my cranking. Even with Millertechs, I still run my AGMs, my wet cell batteries on my cranking.
Is it ever more cost effective to get electronics packaged in with a new boat purchase?
That's a great question. I would probably say so. That way, especially if you're financing, that might make more sense to get it packaged in from the dealership. Electronics weren't as big of a deal when I was buying boats, like financing boats. It wasn't as big of a deal. So, like, I would go pick up me like a $500 unit afterwards. Like now, you probably need about, you know, probably 4 grand to get some electronics. Of course, you could get some cheaper electronics. What I have, so on my boats, and you see, I got just 2 units on my boat. I have two HDS 12s. I think two HDS 12s are like $3,300. So I think just the rigging on my boat with electronics was like close to $10,000 this year with 2 graphs. But that's buying like harnesses, extra transducers, brackets, a lot of different stuff. I'm literally filming a video about that this week, talking about the price of my boat. Boats are expensive now. I mean, of course, there's been inflation on boats, but the things around the boat is what's really driving boat prices so high is actually the things around it. So I want to talk about that. To your point about buying electronics, I do think it is that way you can get the dealership to rig them for you. Electronics nowadays aren't quite as simple as rigging a positive and a negative wire to the power source. You got a lot more going on, and that's why I used to rig my boats every year, and I quit because there's so many little there I would have so many days tied up in going back and forth to the dealership to make sure I had this right NEMA connection and this little harness and then this little snap, and oh, you got to have this device, and you got, oh no, they doesn't come with the bracket, you got to get this bracket for that, and your live scope transducer, did you get this bracket so you can turn it sideways for this, and did you do that for active target, and then you got another fuse bus here, and then I quit because I was like, bro, y'all figure this out and call me when it's done. So, and I'm a pretty, like, I work on stuff. My son races motocross. I tear down engines. I do stuff. But I had so much time in rigging a boat that I was like, you know what, y'all take it. Take it. There's too many there's a lot of hardware involved in rigging now. So I'd recommend let your dealer do it. So Falcon makes my boat for me. First thing I do is I take it to Paul Getty's at Tactical Sonar and say, Paul, make it work, because there's a lot involved in this stuff now. Sometimes you can find used electronics. One thing I would do is I would make sure you can get warranty on those electronics too. Because, like, you wouldn't want to give somebody $2,500, $3,000 for used electronics and then get the electronics and then you got a problem with it. Getting electronics fixed is next to impossible. Even trolling motors. Good luck trying to find somebody to service a trolling motor. It's darn near impossible. I mean, I'm talking about as easy as it is to find an alternator for a 1979 Mercedes diesel. It is darn near impossible to find somebody to fix electronics and trolling motors. So, in my opinion, if you're buying a used boat, there's 3 things that you want to buy that's good that you're almost guarantee you're probably going to have to buy. And I'm saying older, unless they've been already replaced. Trolling motor, batteries, and electronics.